Welcome back to the podcast. So today we have a guest, and I'm so excited. Christine Raniets. She is here to talk about branding. I'm so excited. Her and I have had a couple conversations offline that just really sparked things in my mind, and I am just so excited that you're here today.
Welcome to your Profitable Law Firm podcast. I'm Kelley Brubaker, your dedicated host, passionate about empowering law firm owners. Let's dive into the hidden strategies that lead to overflowing profits, scaled growth, and thriving lives. This is where overwhelm transforms into confidence, enabling you to create and enjoy your dream firm and your dream life.
Christine, why don't you welcome to the podcast and give us a little bit of background about yourself and what you do with clients.
Thank you so much, Kelley. I'm so excited to be here and to have a chat about branding. I love talking about branding. So a little bit about myself. Christine Raniets, and my company is Perran Design. And I am a branding, graphic design, and marketing studio located in New York City, but working virtually with all my clients. And I have a particular niche in the legal sector. So that's working with lawyer entrepreneurs and solos. I also work with managing partners at smaller firms, and I also work with nonprofits, and they're usually providing legal legal counseling for people in their communities. So that is what I'm up to. Thank you.
I love it. So tell me about how you founded your firm. Like, tell me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'll tell you. I'll go way back. Okay, I'll go way back.
Okay.
I did. My parents were entrepreneurs. They came from Cuba, came to the United States, met in Brooklyn, and settled in Queens. So Queens has been my home
Awesome.
for I'm a Queens kid, practically born and raised in Queens. And so my parents founded an import-export business in Long Island City. And so entrepreneurship was very, very early established in my life. Though I did not take the entrepreneur route right away. I studied finance in school and in college, and I landed a job, in finance. And so, but design and the interest in art and that creative component of my work and my being never left. And so I attended Parsons School of Design at night while I was working full time. So I really wanted to lean into the design and marketing and branding aspect of my interests were. And so I got my portfolio together and landed in big law, where I was working as a designer, a marketer, and eventually, went to two different firms doing that. So learning to build a law firm business through the branding and marketing lens. And so I was leading design teams in that space and before forming my own company, Perran Design. So where I serve smaller firms. So I'm not in the big law space anymore, but I'm serving smaller firms and also those nonprofits as well.
I love that. And yeah, and my firm, we support law firms, but I do have a couple nonprofits because the same reason for a law firm, I get asked as a CPA, hey, you're a CPA, can you help us out? And I always love the mission. I usually regret doing the work. People.
I love
Just
doing the work.
Nuances. It's
Yeah.
nuances. So it just gets a little crazy sometimes. So, okay, so let's jump into talking about branding. So when you first look at a law firm's branding, what signals immediately tells you that the firm just doesn't understand its own positioning?
What I look for is I'm really looking for a firm's personality. Do I identify with them? Do they have a clear focus? Who do they serve? So then, and do I align with them? And that's really what I look for, and making sure that, not focusing so much on full service and what are their actual niches. And again, that sort of signaling and positioning, that's what I look for.
Yeah. I mean, I know I get frustrated. I'll go, and it's not just law firms. I'll go to a website, and I just did this yesterday, but now I forget who it was. But I'll go to a website, and because of SEO, they want to put in like serving Akron, Cleveland. So I'm in Ohio. So it'll be Akron, Cleveland, Medina, like Solon, and it'll have all these pages. And I'm like, but it's all the same thing. Why do you, but they want the SEO part to be able to get the
Yes.
local stuff.
Yes.
So I get so frustrated. I'm like, now I'm just overloaded with information.
Yes.
And then I can't even stand like on a main, like the website maintenance side, I can't even imagine having multiple pages that say the same thing, except the city's different. Like it just seems to get
Right.
out of control sometimes. So,
Right.
you
Right.
know, I'm all on board with that. It is about the feeling and, you know, is this somebody that I'm going to get to, you know, that would be like me, that I would be excited to work with. So I love all of that.
That they can trust. You know, do they have photos of themselves on their website?
Yeah.
You know, like who are they? What makes them different from these other law firms that are coming up in my Google searches, right? So that's what
Exactly.
I agree. Absolutely.
So so there's some firms I know there's firms that I work with, and
Mhm.
even just firms I've talked to through different, you know, whatever means or whatever, that some will say we serve everybody and
Mhm.
others are like very niche. So somebody says we serve everyone. And I know I have my answers for this, but what kind
Okay.
of problems does that create from a branding perspective when they serve everybody?
Yeah, it doesn't attract the ideal clients. That's ultimately what ends up happening. So they're spending a lot of time. Maybe the, referrals are coming in and the clients are coming in because they're ranking up high on SEO, but the connection and the right clients aren't there. So again, it goes back to firms' personality and differentiation and values. That broad messaging just really dilutes the services that they truly offer and what they enjoy doing too in the work.
Right.
Right? It's about the joy in the work too, which can get lost
Yes.
when it becomes all encompassing, all serving.
No, and I agree. I mean, I resisted for the longest time. My business coach, years ago was like, dude, seriously, you are so stretched all over the place. I'm like, but I can help everybody. She's like, I
Yeah.
don't deny that you can help everybody, but she goes, look at your client list. And
Yeah.
at that point, I had, you know, like a dog groomer, a print shop, a machine shop, like just like all over the place. But at that point, 80% of my clients was law firms already. Like, and I didn't do anything on purpose. It just happened that way.
Yep. Yep.
It just happened. It's magic. And so the legal industry really picked me. And when I switched all of my messaging over to law firms, everything became so much easier. It became easier for me to write blog posts. It became easier for me to write on LinkedIn, like because I create a whole person. I have a fake little person, Jake Brigance from A Time to Kill. He's my
Okay.
guy. Like pretty quiet.
Okay.
I mean, he's you know, realistic and humble and family man. I love all that. So he's my guy, and
Mhm.
you know, small town lawyer, and you know, so I have a little picture of him, and that's so when I go to write, you know, a blog post or plan for a podcast that I'm going to do by myself, or you know, just anything I'm going to do. I think of Jake. How would I talk to Jake about this? And then that's my thing. And it's made so much easier to do stuff for myself. So I find the same, like I have the same answer as you do. Like it
Yeah.
just becomes, you come spread thin. I remember dreading trying to switch gears, talking to machine shop, and now I'm talking to a dog groomer. And I'm like, I can't even, because it's different metrics and I couldn't keep up with industry standards. And it was very hard to explain things. But now I'm so entrenched, it's just so much easier. So I love that. So let's switch gears though, and let's
Okay.
talk about, you know, what can we do to repel the not ideal clients? So, and this is something I've kind of talked about off and on throughout my podcast over time,
Okay.
because we're always about the attracting, but
Yes.
there's times where it like it's the inverse. Like there's things that we repel. So like for me, I had somebody a couple weeks ago ask me if I would redo. I have a 90-day challenge going on right now. And it's very specific to law firms. It's how to improve
Okay.
your law firm, everything from a financial perspective. And this person was like, can you rewrite it for everybody? And I'm like, what? No, not for everybody. It's for law firms.
Yeah.
And so what do you see that, you know, that what I guess let's look at it this way and say what mistakes do law firms commonly make with their branding that's repelling people? Let's look at so let's look at it this way.
Yeah.
They're repelling people by mistake. Like what?
Yeah. I think it's really two things that are going on. One is that they treat branding design as just a checklist item as opposed to investing in a true brand discovery, what differentiates you, revealing how different you are from your competitors. And second, I think it's also evaluating your brand on a regular basis to make sure you're serving your clients correctly, that a brand is a living, breathing thing. And for a lot of my solos, it is them. And so it's really important to keep that in check. So I think it's those two things that are going on, that are
Yeah.
really mistakes, I would say, or things to watch out for, right?
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, because I think about, rebranding. Just what was over the summer, Cracker Barrel rebranded
Yes.
and went back, right?
Yes. Yes. Lots of drama there.
I didn't laugh about that. And then I just saw somebody else rebranded, and I'm like, are you rebranding because you're trying to create like the whole Cracker Barrel thing or what? It was kind of a weird situation, but no, I agree. Like you definitely have to keep up with it. It's not a one and done kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Your firm's sustainable long term. And so over time things evolve. So I love that idea that you come back and revisit branding and update as needed.
Yeah, and it's funny because the firms that I work with, a lot of them have a website. They have a logo, and they're like, but it's not resonating. Like I'm not getting the right clients. The opportunities are not coming to me. What's wrong? I did all the right things. And it's that missing part where it's that personalization and differentiation.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, because my next question was going to be about what do they like when somebody goes through and like refreshes marketing and it just doesn't hit, like they're still not getting new leads. And I do feel like it's the branding the branding, the personality that kind of really makes them different, right?
Absolutely. And make sure that it's hitting in all areas, right? In all channels. So, for example, it's not only saying that on your website, but what is your LinkedIn profile looking like or saying? What's
Oh,
that message? What's happening when you're in a networking space? What's happening when you're at a client event? What's happening when you're at a conference? What are you saying? And people are looking for consistency, but consistency doesn't have to be boring. Storytelling and interesting ways to differentiate your practice and your business. So those are the things that firms should be investing in and focused in on, are those things.
okay. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this, because I know I have struggled and I got to a point where I quit doing paid ads on digital marketing. I could never get anything to hit, right? So how often is the difference, like what's the bigger fix? Is it pausing for a second and redoing the marketing, or is it increasing spend? And I was to a point where I'm like, is that I didn't have enough reach? Is that what it was? I just didn't spend enough to hit enough people? Or is it that my messaging just wasn't working? Like how often, like which path do you think? Or is it all unique to each situation?
It's really all unique, but the foundation is always the messaging. It's always the messaging. So that's what I always go back to. It's like, okay, yes, you're spending money on ads, you're doing this or that. Let's just see what are you saying, what's happening on those touch points that I mentioned, even video, wherever, a podcast, what you're saying. And let's see what's happening there. And then evaluate, sometimes through data, and all of that, what's happening in those channels, right? So I always go back to branding and brand foundation and messaging.
Yeah, I love that. I know the first time, so just how you were in Big Law, I was in Big Four accounting, and we had a branding guide, which back then, we're talking a lot of years ago, and couple decades. And I didn't understand it as somebody fresh out of college. I know we would go to do a report, and whether it depended on what the report was that we needed. We had a word processing department, right? We didn't type anything that went
Oh my gosh.
right.
Yeah.
So if it was financial statements,
Okay.
there was a whole formatting guide to that. If it was a presentation, that was a different formatting standard. If it was going to be a proposal, there was a different, like there were just different things. And having one word processing department actually helped because I just had to supply the text. They made it look great. And then they would come back and hey, so I just did this proposal a couple weeks ago and they included this section. I think that would really help. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's a great idea. Do it.
Yeah.
So they get push it in, like, right. So I guess what I want to know is
Mhm.
how can you, a law firm, attract better clients versus simply just getting more leads?
Mm. Um, who better clients? I would say, I go back to the messaging and consistency across on all channels. So, for example, there are a lot of people who are lurking and looking at your LinkedIn, looking at your website, and bookmarking. It's being top of mind. And how do you stay top of mind is having relevant content. It's making sure that your thought leadership initiatives are spot on. It's making sure that, again, there's a match in messaging throughout all your touch points. And it's not only, I also want to talk about it's not only about clients, it's also about great hires too. So, people are looking for cultural fit. They're trying to understand if your brand resonates with their values. So it also leans into culture and it
Yep.
leans into hires, which leads into growth and additional and better clients, and attracting the right, because it all works cohesively together. So that's what I think is really where the investment should be and where the energy should go, is again, brand foundation, consistency, and then also the people involved, because it'll also, carry that over.
Right.
Carry that brand over, carry your brand over, right? Is culturally aligned people.
Absolutely. So of course now I'm making mental notes. When we jump off, I need to go back and check all my social channels.
Please do. And do it on at least a quarterly basis, like review everything. That's what I
Right.
recommend to my clients, and I work with them on that all the time. It's like, okay, what's resonating, what's working, what's not. Look at your data. How are they engaging? Are there new
Right.
people that you can be engaging with that are, what are the trends? What's happening? What are your client needs? All that. Yeah. I'm
Right.
there, and time for quarter one.
I improve my stuff over time. I think I have better quality, like all the time. Like the more you do something, you get better at it. And
Yeah.
I have been doing better, but I still, every once in a while, I'm only focusing on LinkedIn or I'm only focusing
Mhm.
on YouTube. And now I'm starting to think, oh my gosh, what if there's inconsistent? So you're right. So when we're done, that's going to be my afternoon today.
I recommend that for everybody. Just checking the inconsistencies
Yeah.
and services do change. They do modify with needs of your clients and demands of the universe. So yeah.
No, I agree. So,
Okay.
okay, so let's talk about what if somebody's in a practice area,
Mhm.
like personal injury. You've got like it seems there might be one town that has 20 different PI
Mhm.
attorneys and or different firms. How would you so what one of the 20 come to you and say, "Hey, I'm in this area where there's just I
Mhm.
have high competition. How can you help me stand out so that people, it's not a bigger
Mm.
billboard because we're the same."
No, no, it's definitely
I know
not a
the
bigger
wrong answer.
billboard.
I know the
Yeah.
wrong answer, but
Yeah.
how would you be able to help somebody stand out so that they, because they still have to do the process of closing, right? They still have to go through the sales process and all of that. But just that initial, how do I stand out that somebody's like, oh, that's the one?
I'm a big proponent of thought leadership initiatives, which include speaking engagements, writing. Um, those are huge. Going on podcasts,
Yeah.
um, speaking at conferences. That's what those differentiators are, to stand out, um, to develop content that shows your expertise. And those are really exciting things that people look out for and really elevate, and align for the right clients, right?
Yeah.
That's what I recommend, just like really focusing on
No, I
that.
love that. Yeah. I mean, I love that answer because I know locally, if
Mhm.
somebody ever asks me locally for, legal assistance on something, first I always ask about practice area just because I understand
Yep.
not every lawyer practices every area. So I always ask about that first, but you're right. It's the ones that I see on the local news in my local, I live in a town and we have a once a month magazine.
Okay.
'Cause we don't have, or there's only 10,000 people here. But there is, I don't think there's any, oh yeah, there is a lawyer that advertises and he usually has it. It's a weird advertisement. It's like a half page and it's an ad. And then the other half, there's always like a blurb of,
Okay.
think about that. And I think he does estate. So it's always something, did you know? It's always like a fact
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
or something like that. And it changes every month. So he's always, I don't know him personally, but he'll be somebody that's top of mind for me because I see it so often. And I'm in a place where we have billboards, but I don't get on the highway enough to see the billboards. So they're irrelevant to me, but yeah, so I love those ideas. Those are good ideas to get people, just get in front of people, and you won't always be there. Like when you're there, like when you're in front of somebody, they may not need you, but it's the idea that down the road
It's
something
being
happens
top
and
of
they need
mind.
you, right?
Absolutely. It's all about being top of mind. So really signaling, and that's how you signal is through these thought leader initiatives and, different posts and different, conferences and attending those things. So yeah,
Absolutely.
networking, huge, huge
Yeah.
networking as well. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I tell law firms, when I talk to different lawyers, I frequently will say, I'm jealous that, so as a CPA, I'm an equal, comparable professional,
Mhm.
system, right?
Yeah.
But CPAs are very, very protective. That's my lead. I'll do it. I'll figure it out. Whatever it is, I'll figure it out. And it's only probably in the last maybe 5 to 10 years where I've seen people say, "Oh yeah, that's a specialty area. I'm not going to deal with. I'll send somebody else." But for the most part, I find, yeah, and I could be wrong, but just in my experience, I'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
In my experience, everybody's very protective. But law firms, if they've niched into, even if it's like 2 or 3 or 4 different practice areas, and so if somebody's practicing, like family law, but bankruptcy leads in, they're very clear about, whoa, not my area.
Yeah. Full stop.
Here's my person down the street that I'm going to introduce you to, and they will take care of you. Like, I am jealous that happens more frequently. And I'm sure that, somebody's going to hear that and say, well, not in my town. And I get that. It's not, I just know in my experience, it has been, lawyers network and seem to be better about saying, nope, I'm going to stay in my lane and pass you off to somebody else. So I love the networking aspect for that reason, that you can say, hey, I'm not the right person to help you, but my friends, my colleague here or down the road can help you. They might not have a search list, but they can do it. They'll be the one.
And
So
that creates such great experiences for people, and they remember how thoughtful you were to connect them and to say that, that's not my specialty or that's not what I focus in on, but I know someone who does. It's beautiful. And those people remember you when they need you,
do.
work. Yeah, absolutely. To get hired. Yeah.
No, I agree. So let's shift gears a little bit. So say that I'm going, because we talked earlier about how we hope, a firm's going to be sustainable. And so let's kind of do that life cycle. Many, not all, but many will start as lows and at some point bring on a partner, maybe bring partners. So does branding change and at what point would it go from like solo to a partner? Are you changing your branding at that point? And then when you add on multiple partners, I laugh because I think of the show Suits, where, and I don't know if you watched it, but they were, all the attorneys wanted to be the named partner.
Yes. Yeah.
Billions of dollars in New York City. What are you doing? Who cares? I don't care if my name's on the door.
Right. No, Bad Men too. If you want to talk about advertising and design, it's like the same thing. I'm a big TV person. So yeah, so Suits, and I really identify with your examples. Yeah, it's like changing from like a founder-centric mindset to a firm-centric, right? And how do you do that? How do you do that? It's again, it goes back to reevaluating your brand and messaging. Like, where do you want to go? Why you're adding these practice areas? How does that serve the client? How does it make you happy in your practice too? It's about finding joy in the work and then finding people that are aligned with your ultimate brand and your foundation is really important. Yes, they have to have the legal talent, the legal mind, absolutely, but it's also aligned people. So then your brand gets enhanced, right? By the extension of the services, by what you're offering, how thoughtful you are for your clients. So, that's where that shift happens. So it's not so founder centric, but it becomes more firm oriented. And so that's why you want those culturally aligned people. So then the founder has actually extensions of what the core of the firm is about. And so that's kind of, the approach that I take, and I work with my clients on that sort of change that happens. That's exciting.
No, it is exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
growth is exciting, whether you're going to do it solo and grow or add
Right.
partners and grow, like it's all exciting. And, so when I was prepping for our call, I
Okay.
never really considered this, but I have helped firms and just companies in general over time merge or evaluate,
Okay.
should I merge? And one thing that never, because I'm a financial person, so one thing that
Okay.
never comes in my mind is if I'm going to acquire a firm, what do I care about from a branding
Mhm.
perspective? Or,
Mhm.
do I care or do I not care because we're gonna redo the branding anyways as a joint firm? What have you worked with firms that have been merging? Like, how does that?
Yeah, it's sticky. It gets sticky, it gets really sticky, but ultimately, you have to come to a conclusion. What type of firm are you going to be? And who are you going to serve? And really be clear about that. And again, it goes back to the people. And people change, services change and ideas change, and that's okay. But just
Yeah,
as long as like everyone is aligned and on the same program, that's the key. And then the brand will evolve and, grow and be able to serve properly once, you have that alignment going on. So yes, it's about the messaging. I mean, the visuals come into play as well, but it's really, it goes back to, that cultural fit associated with the messaging, right?
yeah. No, I do. Yeah, and I love that. I mean, I guess it's being the
Mm.
open part.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with it, do emerge these financials. Is
Mm.
it A plus B C? And it never is right. Like that's
It,
never the thing. So I'm always looking at it from the financial perspective and like never even occurs to me, is it a right fit? Although I will usually mention like, hey, is it a good personality fit? Because I've seen
right.
completely implode because partners are just in two different minds, two different paths that they want to go, and it's just not going to
Mhm.
work. So I do mention that part, like personality wise is a good fit, but I don't even think about branding at all as part of it, but it should be, right? I mean,
Branding plays such a huge role in it, whether or not you're calling it branding or not.
right, right.
Um, and it does. And that's what's going to get you the right clients, and that's what's going to keep your firm growing, or, you know, um, all of that. So, it's even if you're not calling it branding. Yeah, it is. Right. It's about that.
So okay. I want people that are listening to contact
Mhm.
you, and so we can. So the thing is the people who are doing DIY branding. So
Oh,
somebody, and I'm guilty. I I have no shame. I am guilty. So I have done my branding myself, but part of it is like you, I have a little bit of a creativity side. So that was kind of my outlet, is to be able to play with my fonts and, play with my logo, my colors and do all those things. So, okay. So, what mistakes? Okay. So doing branding yourself DIY, what are like the biggest mistakes
mhm.
or common mistakes that you see that DIYers are making that you can help them get on the right path?
Okay. Well, I think not coming up with, if we're talking about visual identity, we could start there. Not coming up with your own logo, palette, brand identity, um, look is a problem. And it's also a trademark issue. It could eventually, it could go into that. area. So I think really it's really important to get a professional to come in and to make it unique to you and to your firm and to your organization. So I think that's the one huge thing. Two, I think it goes back to that checklist. So, it's exciting to do your own designs. I get it. It's a lot of fun, but you know, it you end up, using templates that are in, let's say, Canva that other people are using as well. And so there isn't a differentiation there. And that's what designers, marketers, branders do is they make it geared and tailored for you. And so, and it's really exciting when a firm not only is messaging, but they also have a supportive visual system that enhances that and makes it, really appealing because, humans, we work with text and copy and we work with visuals all simultaneously. And so really, really important. So I think those are sort of the things to watch out for. Is that it ends up looking like someone else's, or it's not a tailored solution for them.
Totally. I'm dying. Like I had to mute myself because so I opened my firm in 2005. So Canva didn't exist, but guess what? Vistaprint was my buddy. With my little templates. And of course, what I do, I'm a CPA, I work with money, so it needs to be green. I go through and I pick a design and I'm like, but nothing crazy because I don't want people to think I'm weird. So I need something that's very, like just mainstream, right? So I go and I pick a thing and I pick you could pick the color scheme. And so I picked green and it was like dark green, medium green, light green, I get my cards printed. Maybe like 6 months later, I'm somewhere and I hand out my card. They give me their card. They had a very identical thing, but in blue. You see? Immediately, I'm going back to my own.
My gosh.
Everything. Yeah. But of course, it like pained me because I probably bought like 1,000 business cards, and it pained me at that early to like throw away stuff I had already paid for. I'm like, this sucks. I can't believe I did that. I've been there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's
So
frustrating.
So if we're going to convince somebody, so what would be an indicator that suggests that a law firm's ready to invest in their brand strategy? That would, it would benefit them to reach out to you.
Yeah. My clients are very busy firms. They're getting the work in, but they're not getting the right fit clients. And that's when I get the call. That's when I get something is off with a brand. They don't teach marketing business development in law school. And I'm getting the calls, but they're not the right fit. So those are like 3 examples of when it's time to take action, to make change happen. And that's how I fit into the mix. It's, through that strategy, through the marketing, materials and design. And that mesh, also looking at opportunities and what's happening for them, is how I solve those types of problems. And it's amazing. Sometimes it's small tweaks and sometimes they're bigger changes that need to happen. It really just depends on the client. So, I think that's when I get called, is when realizing things are just not resonating. And most of like I mentioned, my clients are very busy people. They're busy. They've got the work coming in, but they really are realizing that it's not the ideal work that they want to be doing.
Right. Absolutely. And I've been there. I mean, I had a point in time where just I wasn't the best fit for certain clients and yeah, so I went through, and that was where it was, when I'm talking to my business coach and I'm like, oh, and she's like, into niche and that was part of it for me, and just that. So I am completely on board with that answer for sure. Yeah. So when a prospective new client contacts you, what's the one thing you wish they would ask, but most don't?
Oh, I think, though I ask the question, I'm very much asking questions. But if they were to ask me that question, I think, what will you need from us to make this a success? Because it does take time. It takes time for discovery and to understand what their brand is, and sometimes revealing things and a shift. I think trusting in the process is also huge, and a commitment for them to take action as a collective. I think that's the big question. Is like,
Yeah.
what do you need from me? And I always try to make sure I include that in the conversation. But I
Right.
think that's
Right.
one of the big questions
And
that
I
I've
agree because I feel like sometimes somebody will come to me and I don't always know, like I have a little questionnaire when somebody signs
Okay.
up for a
Yes,
call, right?
yes,
Like
yes.
who can I thank that, like who connected us? And one of the
Mhm.
options is that I was a speaker on something. And then
Okay.
I don't know. I'm like, oh, was it a webinar? Was it an in-person? Was it this? Was it this private group? What?
Yeah.
Because I do different speaking engagements. And so then it gets kind of sometimes weird for me because I don't know what they know about me. And so I'm kind of like not sure
Mhm.
sometimes what to say because I don't want to repeat things they already know. I
Yeah.
think that's going to come back down to consistent branding just across all the different platforms, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's consistency across all platforms, what you're saying verbally in a room, the people you hire, all of that, all plays into it.
awesome. Well, Christine, I've so much enjoyed this conversation today. So somebody listening, they are like, oh, need to get in touch with you. What's the best ways? And we'll put the direct links so
Right.
you don't have to
I
like
put it
pause and write.
down.
We'll put the links in the show
Fantastic.
notes, but what are the best ways for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm actively on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn is fantastic way. Through email is also great. And visiting my website, perrandesign.com, is also a great way to reach out to
Awesome.
me.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much,
thank
Christine.
you.
I've really enjoyed this conversation, and
This
I'm
was
sure the listeners will enjoy it as well.
this was delightful. Thank you so much, Kelley. I loved being here. I love what you're up to. Thank you.
Thank you. I love what you're up to too. Thank you. If you are listening to this podcast episode and you're thinking, I know I need to understand my numbers in my law firm better, but I'm just not ready for CFO support. That's exactly why I created a program called Profit Strong 90. Now, Profit Strong 90 is a structured 90-day course designed specifically for law firm owners who want financial clarity without the overwhelm. So, inside this course, you're going to learn how to understand your profit and loss without feeling intimidated, identify where profit is leaking from your firm, improve cash flow predictability, build financial habits that support long term growth, and make better decisions using real data instead of gut instincts. Now, this isn't theory, it is practical step by step guidance built around how law firms actually operate. If you want to feel more confident looking at your numbers, if you want to stop guessing, and if you want to build a stronger financial foundation for your law firm, I can't make this any better of an offer. It's free. Click the link in the show notes below to join Profit Strong 90. This is where clarity starts for you.